Inside the mind of Ted Bundy. Can you imagine this? A man who could charm his way into anyone's life, leaving destruction in his wake. He was intelligent, good-looking, and disarmingly polite qualities that made him the perfect predator. In the late 1970s, he became one of America's most feared serial killers, responsible for at least 30 murders across multiple states. But here's the twist. He wasn't just some random stranger lurking in the shadows. No, he was someone you might have invited into your home. Someone you trusted without hesitation. Ladies and gentlemen, this is not just any story. It's inside the mind of Ted Bundy. Before I dive in, tell me, where are you watching from and what time is it there for you? I love knowing who's out there with me and where in the world you're tuning in from. Whether you're starting your day, winding down at night, or somewhere in between, I want to know what your moment looks like. It's also a great way for me to get to know you better and maybe even shape future content around your schedules. So, go ahead, drop a comment below and let me know where you are today. I'm all in. Let's rewind to Seattle in the early 1970s. A city buzzing with promise, yet unaware of the darkness brewing beneath its surface. This is where our story begins. In a quiet suburb surrounded by towering evergreens and misty skies, picture a young man named Ted, seemingly ordinary, but hiding a sinister side. No one could have imagined. To his neighbors, he was friendly, always ready with a smile and a helping hand. But behind closed doors, his mind was consumed by an insatiable hunger for power, control, and violence. Ted grew up in a modest household, raised primarily by his mother after his parents split when he was still a child. From the outside, his childhood appeared unremarkable, though whispers of instability lingered among those who knew him well. As a teenager, he struggled socially, often retreating into books about psychology and criminology. Little did anyone know, these interests would later fuel his transformation into one of history's most notorious figures. By the time he reached adulthood, Ted had mastered the art of deception, becoming a master manipulator capable of charming anyone he met. In 1974, the first signs of trouble emerged. Young women began disappearing across Washington state, their fates unknown until their bodies were found dumped in remote locations. Each victim shared striking similarities. Beautiful, blonde, and vibrant, all lured under false pretenses by men who seemed too kind to be dangerous. At first, law enforcement dismissed the cases as isolated incidents, but as more victims vanished, patterns began to emerge. A chilling realization settled over the community. They were dealing with a predator unlike anything they'd seen before. As investigators dug deeper, they uncovered disturbing details about Ted's methods. He used disguises, impersonating authority figures like police officers or park rangers to gain trust. Once close enough, he struck swiftly, using brute force or cunning tricks to overpower his victims. What made him truly terrifying wasn't just his brutality. It was his ability to blend seamlessly into society. Between crimes, Ted lived a double life, working as a legal assistant and volunteering for political campaigns. He was the last person anyone suspected. But then came the breakthrough. On February 9, 1978, Carol Derrance narrowly escaped death after being abducted by Ted. Her harrowing account provided police with crucial evidence, including descriptions of his car and behavior during the attack. Despite her bravery, proving Ted's guilt proved nearly impossible. His charm worked wonders in court, convincing many jurors of his innocence. It wasn't until years later, when confronted with overwhelming evidence, that Ted finally confessed his crimes. But even then, questions remained unanswered. The real shock came when psychologists began studying Ted's psyche. They discovered a man driven by deep-seated insecurities masked by arrogance and charisma. During interviews conducted while awaiting execution, Ted revealed his fascination with domination and control. One exchange stands out. When asked why he targeted young women, he replied calmly, because they represented purity and innocence qualities I wanted to destroy. These words sent chills through everyone who heard them, revealing the cold calculation behind his actions. Fast forward to 2005, and forensic psychologist Emily Carter finds herself drawn into Ted's world. While researching archives at the University of Washington, she stumbles upon previously unpublished letters written by Ted himself. The pages are filled with cryptic musings and eerie insights, offering a rare glimpse into the mind of a monster. How does someone so charming become capable of such atrocities? Emily wonders aloud during her first visit to the archive. This question sets her on a decade-long quest to unravel the mystery surrounding Bundy's motivations. By 2010, advancements in DNA technology offer new tools for analyzing evidence collected decades earlier. Investigators revisit old crime scenes, hoping modern techniques will uncover leads missed during the original investigation. One breakthrough involves matching genetic material found on a cigarette, but at one of Ted's suspected crime scenes to his profile. This discovery reignites interest in long-dormant cases across multiple states, prompting law enforcement agencies to share information freely for the first time. Could there be even more victims than originally thought? Detective Mark Thompson asked during a press conference, his voice heavy with both hope and dread. Meanwhile, Emily delves deeper into Bundy's psychological makeup. She studies interviews conducted with him by renowned criminologists during his imprisonment, piecing together fragments of information to form a clearer picture of the man or monster behind the mask. A particularly haunting exchange stands out. When asked about his feelings toward his victim, Ted described killing as a game, explaining, "You either win or lose." These words shake Emily to her core, making her question whether true understanding of such evil is even possible. Years pass and the case continues to evolve. In 2016, a former cellmate of Ted's comes forward with disturbing claims about conversations they had in prison. According to this witness, Ted confessed to additional motives not included in official records, detailing specific techniques he used to manipulate people. He didn't seem remorseful, the witness recalls. It was like he was just discussing business strategies. This testimony prompts renewed scrutiny of several missing persons cases throughout the United States, focusing especially on areas where Ted traveled extensively but left little direct evidence behind. In 2018, investigators identified potential burial sites near Interstate 80 in Wyoming based on geographical profiling combined with clues provided by Ted himself through archived letters. Excavation commenced under heavy media coverage, generating anticipation and anxiety among residents whose loved ones disappeared without explanation. By 2020, significant progress has been made in identifying previously unknown victims. Forensic anthropologists analyze remains recovered from remote locations, bringing closure to grieving families while simultaneously deepening society's collective unease about the extent of Ted's crimes. Public forums emerge online, allowing descendants of victims to share stories and support one another in ways unimaginable during Ted's active years. Through these discussions, a pattern emerges. Each victim was carefully chosen. Their lives ended not out of hatred, but because they fit a specific mold in Ted's twisted fantasy. For every answer uncovered, new mysteries arise. What exactly caused Ted Bundy to become who he was? Was it nature or nurture or something far darker? Now, let's fast forward to 2023, where advancement in artificial intelligence offer unprecedented opportunities to analyze large data sets related to Bundy's case. A program developed by Brian Carter sifts through thousands of pages of archived material, flagging patterns previously overlooked by human eyes. His findings suggest possible ties between Bundy's actions and broader criminal networks operating throughout the Pacific Northwest during the 1970s. Are we looking at isolated incidents or part of something larger? Brian asked during a live session, drawing nods of agreement from participants. The atmosphere shifts dramatically as public interest in Bundy's case grows once again. Social media platforms buzz with theories, some credible, others far-fetched, yet all contributing to a global conversation about justice and accountability. Families affected by similar losses gather annually to honor their loved ones, finding solace in shared memories and unwavering determination. "We won't stop fighting," says Linda Hay during a memorial service held near Seattle. Her voice cracks with emotion, underscoring the personal stakes involved. And here's the twist. Despite everything we've learned, fundamental questions remain unanswered. Did Ted act alone, or were others involved in his rampage? Could his crimes have inspired copycats still operating today? These queries weigh heavily over the conclusion of our narrative, reminding us that while much has been learned since Bundy's time, much remains mysterious. For every answer uncovered, new questions arise. As Emily puts it poignantly during the final interview, we may never fully understand Ted Bundy or anyone like him, but understanding ourselves better might help stop others from following in his footsteps. So, as we close this chapter of exploration into one man's descent into madness, Let us consider what lessons it holds for humanity moving forward. Because only by confronting our darkest fears can we hope to illuminate paths toward light and redemption, or will the shadows always hold sway, reminding us of the limits of human understanding? What do you think happens to victims whose stories remain untold? Let me know in the comments below. Did Ted operate alone, or was he part of something bigger? Your input matters, and it shapes the stories I share next. So, go ahead, type it out and hit send. I'll see you there in the upcoming chapter in the heart of California. During a sweltering summer night in 1969, something unimaginable unfolded. A group of shadowy figures moved silently through the darkness. Their intentions as sinister as they were unclear. Imagine this. A wealthy family asleep in their mansion in Los Angeles, blissfully unaware that death was creeping closer with every passing moment. The next morning, the world woke up to a crime so brutal, so incomprehensible, it would forever change how we view evil and humanity. This is not just a story about murder. It's a deep dive into the mind of one of the most notorious cult leaders in American history, and the chilling legacy he left behind. Before I dive in, tell me where are you watching from and what time is it there for you? I love knowing who's out there with me and where in the world you're tuning in from. Whether you're starting your day, winding down at night, or somewhere in between, I want to know what your moment looks like. It's also a great way for me to get to know you better, and maybe even shape future content around your schedule. So, go ahead, drop a comment below and let me know where you are today. I'm all ears. The Manson family murders are often described as the darkest chapter in Hollywood's history. But before we delve into the horror, let's take a step back and set the scene. Picture a quiet corner of Southern California in the late 1960s, a time marked by political unrest, counterculture movements, and an almost surreal sense of freedom. In this era, a charismatic man named Charles Manson rose to prominence among a group of disillusioned young people searching for meaning in chaos. To them, he wasn't just a leader. He was a prophet, a messiah, someone who promised answers to life's greatest mysteries. Little did they or anyone else know that his vision would lead to unspeakable tragedy. Manson followers, mostly women in their late teens and early 20s, lived together on a secluded ranch called Spawn Ranch, located near Chatsworth, California. The property was run down, isolated, and eerily fitting with the twisted ideology brewing within its walls. Days were spent indulging in drugs, music, and relentless repetition of apocalyptic prophesies known as helter-skelter. Manson believed society was on the brink of collapse and envisioned a race war that would leave only him and his loyal disciples standing. For these impressionable individuals, his words weren't just persuasive. They were gospel. They followed without question, believing themselves part of something greater than life itself. But here's where things turned dark. On August 8, 1969, for members of the Manson family drove to a luxurious home nestled in the hills of Los Angeles. Their target, Roman Polanski residence of 1050 Cello Drive. Inside lay Sharon Tate, the radiant actress 8.5 months pregnant, along with her friends Jay Sebring, Abigail Fulia, Wojtek Brylowski, and Stephen Perrin. What happened next shocked the nation and continues to haunt us decades later. Over the course of several hours, the intruders committed acts so heinous, so devoid of humanity that even seasoned detectives struggled to comprehend them. By the time the sun rose, 5 innocent lives had been brutally taken, leaving behind a trail of blood and unanswered questions. As investigators combed through the crime scene, they uncovered chilling details. Written in blood on the front door was the word pig, a taunting message meant to incite panic and confusion. The brutality of the killing combined with cryptic clues left behind sent shockwaves through law enforcement and the public alike. Who could have done such a thing? And why? At first, no one suspected Charles Manson or his followers. After all, how could a ragtag group of hippies be responsible for one of the most infamous crimes in American history? But as the investigation deepened, connections began to emerge. Detectives traced evidence back to Spawn Ranch, uncovering disturbing artifacts, photographs, journals, and audio recordings that painted a picture of deranged leader manipulating vulnerable minds. Manson himself became increasingly erratic, spouting bizarre theories and encouraging violence against those he deemed enemies of his twisted utopia. His influence over the family was absolute, built on fear, dependency, and a warped sense of loyalty. When asked why he targeted specific victims, Manson simply replied, "Because they represented purity and innocence, qualities I wanted to destroy." Fast forward to the present day, and the case remains a subject of fascination and debate. Advances in forensic science and psychology have shed new light on Manson's methods, revealing patterns that might have gone unnoticed during the original investigation. For instance, modern psychologists now recognize the power dynamics at play within cults, emphasizing how charismatic leaders exploit emotional vulnerability to gain control. One study conducted in the mid-2010s identified similarities between Manson's techniques and those used by contemporary cult leaders, suggesting timeless lessons about human susceptibility to manipulation. In recent years, amateur sleuths and professional investigators alike have revisited the case, hoping to uncover hidden truths. Using sophisticated image recognition software, researchers analyzed photographs taken during Manson's incarceration, identifying recurring themes tied to specific locations and dates corresponding to known crimes. These findings suggest Manson may have left deliberate clues intended to mock authorities long after his capture. Was he playing games right up until the end? Some believe so, pointing to letters written while awaiting execution that contain riddles and cryptic messages still unsolved today. Meanwhile, technology has played a pivotal role in reigniting interest in the case. Social media platforms buzz with theories, some credible, others far-fetched, yet all contributing to a global conversation about justice and accountability. Families affected by similar losses gather annually to honor their loved ones, finding solace in shared memories and unwavering determination. As Linda Hayes, sister of the victim, said during a memorial service held near Los Angeles, "We won't stop fighting. We owe it to them to keep searching for answers." Yet, despite progress, fundamental questions remain unanswered. How does someone become capable of such brutality? Can we ever fully understand the depths of depravity exhibited by Manson and his followers? And perhaps most hauntingly, how do we prevent future generations from producing similar monsters? Forensic psychologist Emily Carter addressed these concerns during a lecture at Stanford University, confessing, "It feels like talking to something else entirely when you analyze Manson's psyche. He didn't seem human." Now let's consider the broader implications. Manson's actions didn't occur in a vacuum. They were influenced by societal factors ranging from economic inequality to widespread disillusionment with mainstream values. Modern experts argue that understanding these elements is crucial if we hope to combat extremism in any form. Episodes of documentaries exploring the social climate of the late 1960s resonate strongly with viewers navigating their own uncertain times. Could such a monster exist today? That's a question posed by investigative journalist Paul Hayes during the season finale of America's Darkest Hour. His words lingered in listeners' minds long after the episode ended. And then came the twist. In 2020, a former member of the Manson family came forward with revelations so shocking they threatened to rewrite history. Known only as Linda Hayes, she revealed intimate details about life within the group, exposing layers of brainwashing previously unexplored. Drugs, music, and relentless repetition of apocalyptic prophecies created an environment where reality blurred into fantasy. To us, Linda admitted during a televised interview, he wasn't just a man, he was God incarnate. Her testimony provided unprecedented insight into the dynamics of cult psychology, sparking widespread discussions about vulnerability and susceptibility to manipulation. By 2023, advancements in artificial intelligence offered unprecedented opportunities for analyzing large data sets related to the case. A program developed by Brian Carter sifted through thousands of pages of archived material, flagging patterns previously overlooked by human eyes. His findings suggested possible ties between Manson's actions and broader criminal networks operating throughout California during the same period. Are we looking at isolated incidents or part of something larger? Brian asked during a live session, drawing nods of agreement from participants. The atmosphere shifted dramatically as public interest in the case grew once again. Social media platforms buzzed with theories, some credible, others far-fetched, yet all contributing to a global conversation about justice and accountability. Families affected by similar losses gathered annually to honor their loved ones, finding solace in shared memories and unwavering determination. "We won't stop fighting," said Linda Hayes during another memorial service, her voice cracking with emotion, underscoring the personal stakes involved. For every answer uncovered, new mysteries arise. Even now, as we reflect on this harrowing tale, one truth becomes clear. Evil exists in many forms, often hiding in plain sight. But so does resilience. Despite the horrors endured, the people touched by Manson's madness continue to rebuild, finding light in the darkest corners. And perhaps that is the greatest lesson of all, that even in the face of unimaginable pain, humanity finds ways to persevere. So what do you think? Do you believe Manson acted alone, or was he part of something bigger? Let me know in the comments below. Your input matters, and it shapes the stories I share next. So go ahead, type it out and hit send. I'll see you there. I as a coma is not entry card for the answers. In the upcoming chapter in the early 2000s, a young woman drove up to one of the most iconic mansions in the Hollywood Hills. Her heart was pounding as she parked her car and stared at the gate ahead. She wasn't there for an invitation or a meeting. She had come with desperation and hope, clutching a demo CD that she believed could change her life forever. Imagine this. She was about to break into the home of one of the world's biggest musicians, someone whose name alone could open doors across the music industry. But what happens next is not just a story of ambition. It's a tale of guts, luck, and an unexpected twist that no one saw coming. Before I dive in, tell me where are you watching from, and what time is it there for you? I love knowing who's out there with me and where in the world you're tuning in from. Whether you're starting your day, winding down at night, or somewhere in between, I want to know what your moment looks like. It's also a great way for me to get to know you better and maybe even shape future content around your schedule. So, go ahead, drop a comment below and let me know where you are today. I'm all ears. The young woman, let's call her Rose, was a musician trying to make it big in a city known for crushing dreams as much as fulfilling them. Back then, she lived in a tiny apartment on the edge of Los Angeles, struggling to pay rent while balancing her jobs and writing songs late into the night. Her big dream to be discovered by someone who could elevate her career overnight. And so after months of planning, she decided to take a risk, a highly illegal one that might either ruin her life or launch it into stardom. That afternoon, Rose pulled up to the mansion gates, her hands trembling on the steering wheel. The property was massive, surrounded by lush greenery and towering walls designed to keep prying eyes away. As she sat there debating whether she should actually go through with her plan, she noticed a gardener working nearby. At first, she thought the gardener would be a problem. If they spotted her sneaking in, everything would fall apart. But then she realized something. Maybe the gardener could help her. Taking a deep breath, she walked up to the gate with her last $5 in hand. "Please," she said softly but firmly, "let me go through. I just want to drop something off." Surprisingly, the gardener smiled, took the money, and nodded silently, stepping aside to let her pass. Rose's heart raced as she stepped onto the driveway. Every step felt like walking on thin ice. Cameras were everywhere, pointing in every direction. Yet none of them seemed to notice her presence. She glanced around nervously, expecting security guards to appear at any moment. But the place was eerily quiet. Finally, she reached the front door, hesitated for a second, and turned the knob. To her shock, it opened without resistance. Stepping inside, she found herself surrounded by luxury expensive artwork, plush furniture, and a sense of opulence that only the rich truly understand. Still, there was no one around. It was almost surreal. As she explored the ground floor, searching for any sign of the owner, Rose couldn't shake the feeling that she was living in a movie scene. This wasn't supposed to happen. It was too easy, too straightforward. Yet, here she was standing in the middle of a house belonging to one of the most famous people on the planet. Eventually, curiosity led her to discover an elevator. Without thinking twice, she stepped inside, pressed a button for the upper floors, and waited anxiously as the elevator ascended. But just as the elevator doors opened, reality hit her hard. There, sitting in the room right outside, was a legendary musician himself, Prince. He looked calm, almost serene, strumming his guitar as if nothing unusual was happening. For a brief moment, neither of them moved. Rose stood frozen, staring at the man she idolized, while Prince simply turned his head, raising an eyebrow at this unexpected visitor. Then gathering all her courage, Rose stepped forward, threw the demo CD onto the table between them, and bolted back toward the elevator without saying a word. By the time she made it back to the front door, Prince's security team had already caught up to her. They stopped her, questioned her, and surely considered calling the police. However, instead of pressing charges, Prince listened to her explanation, Perhaps he saw something in her determination, or maybe he understood the length artists sometimes go to when chasing their dreams. Whatever the reason, he let her walk away unscathed but empty-handed. That interaction didn't lead to immediate fame. In fact, it seemed like just another bizarre chapter in her chaotic journey. Fast forward a few years and Rose, now performing under the stage name Kesha, became a household name in the music industry. Her breakout hit TikTok dominated airwaves worldwide, selling millions of copies and earning her international recognition. Fans adored her edgy style and raw talent, but little did they know how close she came to being arrested before achieving success. Years later, during interviews, Kesha would occasionally mention the incident, always laughing it off as a youthful folly. However, behind closed doors, she admitted privately that the experience taught her resilience, the importance of never giving up even when the odds seem insurmountable. Now, here's where things get interesting. While Kesha's career skyrocketed, questions lingered about that fateful day. Did Prince ever listen to the demo CD she left behind? If so, what did he think of it? Some speculate that he might have been impressed enough to share it with industry contacts, planting seeds for Kesha's eventual rise. Others believe it was mere coincidence, attributing her success solely to her relentless drive and unique sound. Regardless, the story serves as a reminder of how thin the line can be between failure and triumph. Let's rewind a bit further. Why did Rose choose such a drastic approach in the first place? Growing up in Tennessee, she had always dreamed of becoming a singer. Music flowed through her veins, and performing was more than a passion. It was her identity, but breaking into the industry proved far harder than she imagined. Rejection letters piled up, auditions ended in disappointment, and financial struggles forced her to take odd jobs just to survive. One evening, while brainstorming ideas with friends, someone suggested targeting high-profile celebrities directly. It sounded crazy, but after weeks of deliberation, Rose decided to give it a shot. After all, what did she have to lose? What makes this story even more fascinating is the broader context of the early 2000s music scene. At the time, technology hadn't yet revolutionized the way artists connected with audiences. Social media platforms like Instagram and TikTok didn't exist, meaning aspiring musicians relied heavily on traditional methods, record deals, radio play, and live performances to gain exposure. Breaking through required creativity, boldness, and sometimes sheer audacity. In many ways, Rose's decision reflects the desperation felt by countless other hopefuls during that era. However, this isn't just a story about taking risks. It's also about timing and opportunity. By the mid-2000s, the music landscape began shifting dramatically. Digital streaming services emerged, offering new avenues for independent artists to showcase their wealth. Meanwhile, Kesha continued honing her craft, collaborating with producers and songwriters who recognized potential. When her big break finally arrived, it wasn't because of Prince or anyone else really, but because she stayed true to herself and refused to compromise her vision. Yet, the mystery remains. What happened to that demo CD? Investigators. Well, curious fans dug deep into Prince's archives after his untimely death in 2016, hoping to uncover some hidden connection. While no definitive evidence surfaced linking the two directly, rumors persist among those close to Prince's inner circle. Some claim he mentioned receiving a strange gift from fans, including a mysterious CD from a young woman. Others dismiss these stories entirely, insisting Prince wouldn't waste time on unknown talents. Still, the possibility lingers, fueling debates within the music community. As we reflect on this incredible story, one thing becomes clear. Life rarely follows a predictable path. Sometimes success comes from calculated moves, while other times it stems from reckless gambles. For Kesha, both played a role in shaping her destiny. Today, she stands as a symbol of perseverance, reminding us that our wildest dreams often require unconventional steps to become reality. So, what do you think? Was it pure luck that saved Rose that day? Or did Prince recognize her potential and decide to let her leave quietly? Let me know in the comments below. Do you believe moments like this define careers? Or is it all part of a bigger plan we don't fully understand? Your thoughts matter, and they might inspire future episodes. Don't forget to hit that like button if you enjoyed this story, and consider subscribing for more tales of ambition, mystery, and triumph. Who knows, maybe tomorrow's video will feature someone whose story resonates with yours. Until next time, thanks for joining me on this ride. See you soon. In the upcoming chapter, it was a quiet night in Sacramento, California, when the first chilling whispers of terror began to spread through the community. A shadowy figure moved silently under the cover of darkness, leaving behind a trail of unspeakable acts that would haunt the state for decades. Imagine this: a predator who struck not once, not twice, but over and over again, leaving victims traumatized and authorities baffled. This wasn't just any criminal. This was someone who seemed to vanish into thin air after each attack, leaving no trace except for fragments of fear scattered across multiple cities. Before I dive in, tell me, where are you watching from and what time is it there for you? I love knowing who's out there with me and where in the world you're tuning in from. Whether you're starting your day, winding down at night, or somewhere in between, I want to know what your moment looks like. It's also a great way for me to get to know you better and maybe even shape future content around your schedule. So, go ahead, drop a comment below and let me know where you are today. I'm all ears. The year was 1976 when the first reports emerged of a brutal intruder breaking into homes during the dead of night. The East Area Rapist, as he came to be known, targeted women in their own beds, using violence and intimidation to silence them. Over the next decade, his crimes escalated beyond sexual assault to include cold-blooded murder. By the early 1980s, he had expanded his territory, moving south to Orange County and leaving a trail of death and destruction in his wake. For years, law enforcement struggled to piece together the puzzle of who or what this monster could be. In the small town of Rancho Cordova, nestled near Sacramento, residents lived in constant dread. Families bolted their doors shut, installed security systems, and avoided walking alone after sunset. Yet nothing stopped the predator from striking again and again. Each crime left investigators scratching their heads, searching for connections between seemingly unrelated cases. Was this one man or an organized group? And why did he always manage to slip through the cracks? As we fast forward to the early 2000s, the case remained wide open, frustrating detectives and tormenting families still seeking closure. Forensic psychologist Emily Carter found herself drawn to the mystery after uncovering long-forgotten letters written by survivors recounting their harrowing experiences. She pored over these documents late into the night, her mind racing with questions. How could someone commit such heinous acts repeatedly without being caught? What drove this person to prey on innocent lives so mercilessly? By 2005, advancement in forensic technology offered new hope for solving the decades-old mystery. Detective Mark Thompson, who had spent much of his career chasing leads on the case, revisited old evidence with fresh eyes. Using DNA testing capabilities unavailable at the time of the attacks, investigators began matching biological material found at various crime scenes. One breakthrough involved linking semen sample collected from multiple victims to a single unknown male profile. Not someone previously considered a suspect, but someone entirely different. Could this finally be the key they needed? But the story doesn't end there. As years passed, public fascination with the case only grew stronger. True crime podcasts, documentaries, and online forums buzzed with theories about the identity of the Golden State Killer. Among those captivated by the case was Brian Carter, a computer programmer turned self-taught cryptographer. He applied advanced algorithms to decode patterns hidden within DNA databases, hoping to uncover clues missed by professionals. His work attracted national attention, sparking debates about whether amateurs could truly solve mysteries law enforcement couldn't crack. Meanwhile, Emily delved deeper into the psychological makeup of the attacker. Studying interviews conducted with victims revealed a haunting truth. Many described feeling as though the rapist enjoyed exerting control over them. It wasn't just about sex. It was about power. This revelation shook Emily to her core, making her question if any degree of understanding could explain such evil. How do you study something so monstrous without letting it consume you? She wondered aloud during a rare moment of reflection. Then came the turning point in 2018, the year that changed everything. Investigators turned to forensic genealogy, a cutting-edge technique that cross-references DNA samples against publicly available genetic databases. Following this lead, they identified a distant relative linked to the unknown male profile discovered years earlier. Tracing connections back through family trees led them straight to Joseph James D'Angelo, a former police officer living quietly in Citrus Heights, California. On April 24, 2018, Detectives arrested D'Angelo after confirming through additional DNA tests that he matched the profile left at numerous crime scenes. The announcement sent shockwaves across the nation. Here was a man who had once sworn to protect and serve, now revealed as one of America's most infamous serial killers. During his trial, witnesses recounted chilling encounters while forensic experts provided damning evidence linking him to more than 50 rapes and 13 murders spanning over decades. Despite his calm demeanor in court, D'Angelo's actions spoke volumes of a twisted mind obsessed with domination and destruction. After days of deliberation, the jury delivered a verdict: guilty on all counts. Justice may have been served, but the story didn't stop there. Inside Joseph James D'Angelo's prison cell, analysts uncovered artwork created during his incarceration. Using sophisticated image recognition software, they decoded recurring themes tied to specific locations and dates corresponding to known crimes. These messages suggested that D'Angelo might have left deliberate clues intended to taunt authorities even beyond the grave. Was he playing games right up until the end? Or were these final acts of defiance meant to confuse and confound forever? At the same time, advancements in artificial intelligence open unprecedented opportunities for analyzing large data sets related to the case. A program developed by Brian Carter sifted through thousands of pages of archived material, flagging patterns previously overlooked by human eyes. His findings hinted at possible ties between D'Angelo's actions and broader criminal networks operating throughout California during the 1970s and 1980s. Were these isolated incidents or part of something far larger? The atmosphere shifted dramatically as public interest in the case surged once again. Social media platforms buzzed with theories, some credible, others far-fetched, yet all contributing to a global conversation about justice and accountability. Families affected by similar losses gathered annually to honor their loved ones, finding solace in shared memories and unwavering determination. "We won't stop fighting," said Linda Hayes during a memorial service held near Sacramento, her voice cracking with emotion, underscoring the personal stakes involved. Despite the arrest and conviction, fundamental questions remain unanswered. What exactly caused Joseph James D'Angelo to become who he was? Can anyone fully comprehend the depths of such depravity? Psychologists have debated these issues for years, examining factors ranging from childhood trauma to societal influences. But perhaps the most haunting question of all is whether true evil can ever truly be understood or will always lurk just beyond our grasp. Let's take a step back and revisit the beginning. Picture this: a suburban neighborhood bathed in moonlight where shadows stretch long and every creak of the floorboards echoes like a warning. Somewhere among these streets, a predator stalked his prey, methodically planning each move before striking. Without mercy, residents went to bed feeling safe, only to awaken a horror unimaginable. How does someone fall so far into madness that they see nothing wrong with destroying lives so casually? For every answer uncovered, new mysteries arise. Did D'Angelo act alone, or did others participate in his crimes? Could there be more victims than originally thought? Advances in forensic science continue to unravel secrets buried deep within archives, offering tantalizing possibilities worth pursuing. In 20123, researchers announced another startling discovery. Traces of handwritten notes found at several crime scenes contain cryptic symbols resembling codes used by military personnel. Could D'Angelo's background as policeman and Vietnam War veteran provide insight into his methods or mask darker truths waiting to surface? Technology evolves at breakneck speed, offering tools once thought impossible. Yet challenges persist. Forensic experts warn against over-reliance on machines, emphasizing the importance of human intuition in solving complex cases. Psychologists study behavioral patterns exhibited by perpetrators, hoping to identify warning signs before tragedies occur. Ordinary citizens grapple with difficult questions about safety, trust, and accountability in their communities. How close do monsters live to us? And how easily can we miss a sign? As we reflect on this harrowing tale, one thing becomes clear. Evil exists in many forms, often hiding in plain sight, but so does resilience. Despite the horrors endured, the people of California continue to rebuild, finding light in the darkest corners. Support groups formed by family members of victims offer comfort and strength, reminding everyone that love can conquer fear. Memorials stand proudly, honoring those lost and inspiring future generations to learn from past mistakes. Do you believe the case will ever be fully solved? Or does its identity remain forever shrouded in darkness? As we ponder these questions, let us remember the lives touched and tragically ended by this horrific series of crimes. Because only by honoring their memory can we hope to move forward armed with knowledge and fortified by compassion. Or will the shadows always hold sway, reminding us of the limits of human understanding? What do you think happened here? Let me know in the comments below. Do you agree with the theory presented, or do you have your own ideas about what drove D'Angelo to commit such atrocities? Your input matters, and it shapes the stories I share next. So go ahead, type it out and hit send. I'll see you there. Atlanta child murders in the upcoming chapter. On a cold December night in 1979, the city of Atlanta was shaken to its core. A young boy named Edward Hope Smith vanished without a trace, leaving behind only unanswered questions and a growing sense of fear. This disappearance marked the beginning of one of the most chilling chapters in American history, the Atlanta child murders. Imagine this. Over 2 years, nearly 30 children, teenagers, and young adults would meet tragic ends under mysterious circumstances. Their bodies were found strangled, dumped in remote locations around the city. It was as if an invisible predator had taken root in the heart of Atlanta, striking at will and leaving no clear evidence behind. Before I dive in, tell me, where are you watching from and what time is it there for you? I love knowing who's out there with me and where in the world you're tuning in from. Whether you're starting your day, winding down at night, or somewhere in between, I want to know what your moment looks like. It's also a great way for me to get to know you better and maybe even shape future content around your schedule. So, go ahead, drop a comment below and let me know where you are today. I'm all ears. Atlanta in the late 70s and early 80s was a vibrant city full of promise. But beneath the surface lay simmering tensions fueled by racial inequality and economic disparity. The victims came mostly from marginalized communities, African-American families struggling to make ends meet in neighborhoods that felt forgotten by the rest of society. For many, these murders weren't just crimes. They were a reflection of deeper societal issues long ignored. At first, no one suspected anything more than isolated incidents. But as the body count rose, so did panic among residents. Parents kept their kids indoors after dark, and curfews were enforced across certain areas of the city. Yet nothing seemed to stop the killer or killers who continued to prey on innocent lives. The first victim, Edward Hope Smith, was last seen walking home from his grandmother's house. His disappearance sparked initial concern, but when he failed to return, police launched a search that yielded nothing. Days turned into weeks and eventually hope faded. Then came the second victim, Timothy Hill, followed by the third, Kevin Wade Buckner. Each case mirrored the last strangulation, no signs of struggle, and bodies left in secluded spots. By 1981, the toll reached almost 30 individuals ranging from ages 6 to 28. As investigators scrambled to piece together clues, public outrage mounted. Community meetings drew crowds demanding answers, while local media outlets painted a grim picture of fear gripping the city. Among those searching for answers was Detective Emily Carter, a seasoned investigator whose curiosity set her on a decade-long journey to uncover the truth. During one of her visits to an archive at Morehead College, she stumbled upon letters written by Wayne Williams, the man later convicted of 2 murders linked to the spree. These documents offered unprecedented insight into his thought process. How could someone so ordinary commit such atrocities? She wondered aloud during her first visit to the archive. Her question ignited a quest to understand not just the mind of the perpetrator, but also the societal factors that allowed him to operate undetected for so long. By 2005, advancements in forensic technology provided new tools for analyzing evidence collected during the original investigation. Detective Mark Thompson, who worked tirelessly on the case throughout the 1,900 pages, revisited old files using DNA testing capabilities unavailable at the time of the original inquiry. One breakthrough involved matching biological material found on several victims to Wayne Williams' profile, confirming connections previously unrecognized. Could there be even more victims than we originally thought? Asked Mark during a press conference, his voice filled with both hope and dread. Meanwhile, Emily delved deeper into psychological aspects of Williams' personality. Studying interviews conducted with him during his imprisonment, she noted how effortlessly he manipulated both captors and psychologists alike. During one particularly haunting exchange, Williams described killing as an act of liberation, a concept so foreign it defied comprehension. He didn't seem human, Emily confessed during a lecture at Georgia State University. It was like talking to something else entirely. But here's where things take a darker turn. Despite Wayne Williams being convicted of 2 murders tied to the spree, doubts lingered about whether he acted alone or if others might have been involved. In 2013, a former neighbor came forward claiming to recall suspicious activity near the homes of some victims days before their deaths. Though vague, these recollections sparked new lines of inquiry. Detectives revisited old statements, searching for overlooked details that might connect dots unseen before. Every little piece matters, insisted Mark during another late-night session, reviewing files stacked high around his desk. In 2020, social media platforms played increasingly vital roles in disseminating information related to the case. A Facebook group dedicated to discussing potential leads attracted thousands of members worldwide. Conversations ranged from speculative musings to well-researched arguments supported by data. One member, Brian Carter, gained prominence when he identified similarities between the Atlanta child murders and other unsolved killings across the southeastern United States during the same period. His findings prompted authorities to explore connections dismissed as coincidental decades earlier. Are we looking at copycat crimes or part of something larger? Brian asked during a live Q&A session, drawing nods of agreement from participants. Then in 20122, a groundbreaking discovery emerged when forensic genealogy techniques identified relatives linked to DNA profiles discovered at various crime scenes associated with Williams. Investigators traced these connections back to individuals living near areas where Williams operated during his active years. While circumstantial, the findings generated renewed energy within ongoing investigations. We're closer than ever before, declared Mark Thompson, now in his 70s, but unwilling to retire without closure. Cameras flashed as reporters clamored for answers, underscoring the significance of this development. Yet, despite these advances, fundamental questions remain unanswered. Who wrote the cryptic ransom notes sent to some families? Why stage such complex scenarios if intent wasn't robbery? And perhaps most hauntingly, what role, if any, did broader criminal networks play in these murders? These mysteries weigh heavily on those closest to the case. Mark finds himself haunted by dreams of shadowy figures whispering riddles he cannot solve. Linda Hayes, a journalist covering the story since its inception, spends sleepless nights researching obscure archives, searching for patterns others might have missed. Even casual observers feel drawn into the vortex of uncertainty surrounding this infamous tragedy. Fast forward to 2023, and the story takes yet another twist. Researchers announced they have decoded messages embedded in artwork created by Wayne Williams during his incarceration. Using sophisticated image recognition software, analysts identified recurring themes tied to specific locations and dates corresponding to known crimes. This revelation suggests Williams may have left deliberate clues intended to taunt authorities even beyond the grave. Was he playing games right up until the end? Asked Emily Carter during a private meeting with colleagues. Her voice cracked slightly, betraying exhaustion mixed with all the complexity of their subject. At the same time, advancements in artificial intelligence offer unprecedented opportunities for analyzing large data sets related to the case. A program developed by Brian Carter sifts through thousands of pages of archived material, flagging patterns previously overlooked by human eyes. His findings suggest possible ties between Williams' actions and broader criminal networks operating throughout Georgia during the 1970s and 1980s. Music. Are we looking at isolated incidents or part of something far greater? Brian asked during a live discussion, drawing murmurs of agreement from participants. The atmosphere shifts dramatically as public interest in the case grows. Once again, social media buzzes with theories, some credible, others far-fetched, but all contributing to a global conversation about justice and accountability. Families affected by similar losses gather annually to honor their loved ones, finding solace in shared memories and unwavering determination. We won't stop fighting, says Linda Hayes during a memorial service held near Atlanta, her voice cracking with emotion underscoring the personal stakes involved. And so the legend of the Atlanta child murders persists not merely as a relic of the past, but as a testament to human resilience in the face of incomprehensible evil. For every answer uncovered, new questions rise. For every step forward, obstacles loom large. Through it all, one truth remains clear. The quest for understanding transcends generations, binding us together in our shared desire for peace and resolution. Now, here's the kicker. What if Wayne Williams wasn't acting wrong? Recent revelations point toward organized crime involvement, suggesting conspiracy much bigger than anyone initially imagined. Could the mafia have played a role? Or was this the work of a lone individual consumed by darkness? As researchers dig deeper into Williams' background, startling connections emerge, linking into other unsolved cases across the region. Some theorize that the true number of victims could exceed the official count of 29. Others believe additional perpetrators may still be at large. What do you think happened in Atlanta all those years ago? Let me know in the comments below. Did Wayne Williams act alone or were others involved? Your input shapes the stories I share next. So, don't hesitate to join the conversation. Remember, the truth is out there. It's just waiting for someone brave enough to uncover it.